talking about our first mini lesson for Pong, whoops, which we did the design brief already and we did the planning piece. So now we're going to be doing our first mini lesson here, which is adding our sprites and getting our movement to work. You need 3 sprites. You need a ball, 2 paddles. Movement, you need to set the ball to move a small number of steps, like 3. This will just get it moving. Then we're going to add blocks to have it bounce. And so here's an example of what that might look like. This will make it keep moving. Then we talk about what's a bounce. Well, is it going back exactly the way it came from, or is it turning slightly and then moving? And so that will get us to these hints, and then we're going to try using an if-then block and turn the ball a number of degrees. Should the ball bounce off both paddles? And where should this if-then block go if you want it to run over and over and over again? So before we do anything else, we need to go to My CS First. You're going to go to your dashboard, and depending on which class you're in, you're going to go to Projects. And you're going to see all your projects are in here. You're going to have a bunch of them, and you're going to create a new project. And this new project is going to be called Pong, but in order so they don't all have the same name, I'm going to have you put your first name and say it's my Pong game. Great. So first off, I don't want the cat, so I'm going to come over here and get rid of it. We said we needed 2 paddles and 1 ball. So I'm going to go to the Choose a Sprite, and I'm going to find under Sports, I'm thinking, nope. Dance, fantasy, music, food, letters. Let's go to all again. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to search for it. Oh, there's the ball. I want a ball. Okay, and then I'm going to go choose a sprite, and I'm just going to search for a paddle. There's a paddle right there. And I want 2 of those, so I'm going to go search, and there it is again. Okay, so now I have 2 paddles. Now you're going to notice the paddles are going in the wrong direction. That's okay, because what we can do is come down here and move them by, instead of going 90 degrees, we can flip it so that it's at, whoops, well, here, let me just type, that'll probably be easier. There we go, straight up and down. And I need this one to be doing the same thing. And so I'm going to go to direction, 0, enter. Okay, so now my paddles are about where I want them. So I'm going to set them over here, and here's my ball. So I'm going to go back to my lesson. It says that I need my 3 sprites, so I got that. Movement, I want the ball to start moving, and it gives you an idea of how to do that and get it to bounce off the edges. So let's go start there. I'm going to click on my ball, and I'm going to go get my event to start the game. So now you can start the game with a when green flag clicked, or you could use something like when the space bar is clicked. It's up to you. I personally like the green flag to be there only for directions. So I'm going to have my directions on there when I'm done, and then the green flag should set everything back to original positions, and it should then stop my ball from moving, reset all the scores, and bring the directions back up so they can play again. So I'm going to use the space bar to actually start my game. And I'm going to go to motion, and we're going to move it, but not 10 steps. We're going to move it a very small number of steps. So when I hit the space bar, there we go. See, it doesn't move very far. That's okay. And then if it gets to the edge, I want it to bounce, which is also if on edge, bounce. Okay, and then in our directions here, they actually show it inside of a forever block. So I'm going to grab my forever block, stick it in there. We're going to, there we go. See? There we go. Boink. And it bounces. But look at the reflection on the ball. Yeah, it's just turning exactly around, doesn't it? So it's going to go back and forth in a line like that forever, which kind of is not exactly what I want, right? So I mean, having it bounce off the edge is fine that way, but I also want to bounce off my paddle because if I move my paddle here, let's see what it does. Yeah, it goes right behind the paddle, which is kind of obnoxious, right? So I want it to move. So I'm going to go use some conditional logic, and I'm going to pull out this if-then block. And I'm going to say if it hits a paddle, then I want it to turn 45 degrees. Okay, so that it turns in a different direction and then it will move the 3 steps again, right? So let's see if I can make it turn. Oh, there we go. So if touching, well, let's start with the if. So I need it to be touching a paddle. So I can do it up here, I think. Oh, paddle 1, paddle 2. Oh, that's going to get confusing, isn't it? So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say this paddle, which is that one over there, that's going to be the computer paddle. So I'm going to rename it and call it comp pad. And if it hits player, then it's going to do something. So let's go back to the ball. Now, see, I can change this. So if it touches the computer paddle, and I also need to do the same thing if it's touching the other one. So there's the player paddle. So there's in operators a way to combine these. And there it is. Or if it's touching either of these two, then it will do it. And by it, I mean whatever's inside this if. So I'm going to start by saying, we'll say turn 45 degrees and see what happens. Okay, so stop, start, go. All right, so it's still moving really slow, which is fine. But it should now hit that. Oh, see, it bounced off. So now let's see if it'll do it off that one. There it goes. Now, it's kind of, I mean, it works, it turns, but it's turning, it's still only going back and forth, right?